Good afternoon and welcome to Far End Studios here in North London, and I'm here with my co-writing partner, Mr M.Wilson.
Good afternoon.
Right, so when we got together, there was no master plan. We just was thinking about writing a few songs in a 70s style. No names, no anything, and we just got together for the day to see what we could come up with.
Yeah, I think Greg and I met about a year before that.
Something
like that.
about a year before that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And we kind of sort of, obviously you hit it off with certain people, and we did a bit of writing for another project that Greg's involved in, which is another 70s thing.
'Cause I'm going back to where I belong. I knew I'd always get there, just had to be strong. 'Cause
And we kind of got on well, and then we decided just to get together and just write some songs. I was kind of in the process of doing my second album, so it would be that we were writing a song that and if nothing happened with it, it would probably end up on my album, as it were. And then just with our kind of sort of 70s sensibilities, I would imagine, we kind of just sort of threw a few ideas around. And this song, we were just jamming, and I think I borrowed a guitar, and I think I'll just show you this guitar here. This guitar is what they call a baritone guitar. I don't know if I can get it in shot. This is a baritone guitar, and as you can see, it's a lot longer than a regular guitar. It's tuned down to B for all the aficionados, and I think I was borrowing it, and Greg was kind of just sitting around, and I just said, "Oh, try that," and he sort of picked it up, and we were sort of talking about what the things you can do with it, and then we decided to. I plugged it in. And put it up, and in fact Mr Heartache's up here, so I'll show you what we did.
This is the very first.
As you can hear, that's kind of quite a big thing for the feature of the start of the track. And if I can get it up on here as well, where are we? I'm going to get. This is kind of the sound. It has lots of effects on it. That, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, is the sound of just the baritone all on its own, and I put it through a load of gizmos to give it that kind of movement.
So it's not actually a mini mood that's doing that, is it?
No, I think it's a guitar effect. It's kind of a modulation kind of thing that was doing it. And that was just those three chords that started it all off, and then obviously as you do write songs, something inspires you, and then you kind of go on and then you finish it off, and then it sort of turned into the epic that was. And we finished it off, and even then, I think still it wasn't for the project or anything. It was just a great tune. And I think about a year before that, I'd done a gig down in Devizes, near Devizes, all Cannings with 10cc, and on the bill as well was Andy Scott from the Sweep. And because I sort of sing all of the high harmonies in 10cc, and Andy sings all the high harmonies, we had this kind of little bond, and we were both kind of bigging each other up about how lovely we both sounded. It was like a boys' club. And so when we were doing Mr Heartache, the chorus, obviously, as you hear it, you know, it's very, very kind of backing vocal led, and we were just sitting about putting the high harmonies. I was putting all that stuff on, and I turned to Greg, and Greg's a big Sweet fan anyway, and I just said, "Oh, you know, it'd sound really cool on this." And I just thought, you know, if you don't ask, you don't get, you know. So I sent him an email, phoned him up, and he heard the track, he really liked it, so he said, "Come down and do it." And I think it was quite swiftly after that, wasn't it? It was about a week. Was it? A couple of days. Yeah, because Andy, obviously, they work a lot, you know, and he's got his studio in his house down in where is it, Wiltshire, isn't it?
Wiltshire, yeah.
And that's a long way.
It's a long way to go.
It's a long way. It was worth
with
it.
With no
though.
air conditioning in the car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's fixed now, is it?
No.
Oh, dear. Well, perhaps you can earn a few quid.
I know.
And get it fixed.
Please buy a record. I can get my air conditioning
Yes,
done.
please. For all the passengers involved. Yeah, so he put it on, and even then, still, it was kind of, he did it, I guess, as a favour to me, because I'd met him. And it was still then going to go onto my album, you know, but... then Greg sort of came around and we did some more, and then when he got his project together, and he wanted to go completely, you know, that AOR 70s kind of thing. Sorry, I said AOR, sorry, you don't like that.
No, I don't mind that, that's okay.
And,
70s is right.
70s, which isn't kind of my style, but I said, come on, let's do it. And then obviously because of our writing sensibilities, we write in a certain way together. The Mr Heartache thing kind of started leaning towards all the other stuff. So that became the first track. And so how many on the album did we do? 4, 5?
5, I think we did.
5
but there's 2 others as well.
in
I
the
think,
bag.
that are in the bag, yeah.
In the
and
bag.
probably other things in the bag as well.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we met to do that, and how it sort of started it all off. And I guess Greg's always had a load of songs himself, but it's like anything. Once you've put a flag in the sand, I guess it gave you a purpose to do it. And
yeah, it grew from there, didn't it? Mushrooms,
yeah,
really.
and the thing is, when you do it, I mean, we did it with a bit of love and a bit of, you know, so we sort of just ladled all of the BVs on and all that kind of stuff. And I guess Greg, I'm preempting you saying it, but Greg obviously found somebody like me that could help him visualise or envision what he had in his noggin.
That's half the there's a lot going on in there.
Yeah, I don't crack it on.
But it's very hard to find someone that actually that you can get inside your head. You know, it's hard to explain something that if people don't fully get what you're trying to do, and that's where the Cats in Space, as it became, it mushroomed from Mr Heartache purely because that had all the tools in the box for the sort of sounds and the idea of where I wanted the album to go, and it just sprung like a springboard, really, wasn't it?
And how our whole thrust for the album was, if less is more, how much more is more?
Exactly.
Really.
Exactly.
So
we haven't got too many eggs to over-egg the pudding. The pudding can never be over-egged.
Yeah, the local shop has got no eggs left in it.
Still.
So it was because what's really cool about stuff like that is that you spend a lot of time. If you're not, I guess, commercially successful, you try and write songs and you think this is the one that's going to get me on the radio. This is the one that's going to get the band on tour and all stuff like that. But we had no kind of worries about goals or anything like that. No. So everything we did was just out of pure love and just enthusiasm, really.
Yeah, it was just organic, wasn't it?
And
there was no master plan.
So we had nobody to upset, we had nobody to impress, so we were just putting stuff on for the sake of it.
It was all very selfish, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah, and it was all the stuff that we wanted to hear. You know, if we wanted to hear even more guitars, we put more guitars on. If we wanted to hear even more vocals, we put more vocals on. And hopefully, by reading a few of the reviews thus far, everybody's kind of got it, you know, and it's one of those things that you think that maybe, is it just us two in this little studio that will like this? You know, we're sitting here listening to the mixes and stuff that we've done and putting all the tracks down, and you think, well, I hope everybody gets it, and it seems to be that everybody is
very much so, isn't
really.
it? Quite more so than we ever thought, actually, which is quite amazing. But then maybe, maybe we have hit on something that's that has struck a chord with a lot of people, because there's not a lot out there like what Cats in Space is doing at the moment, and it all started here before we took it off to Yellowfish in Lewis, and Ian Capel got involved, and
he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing, old Ian. Yeah, he's
Thank God.
He's a 70s nut through and through. Hence all the old equipment, and we only used analog gear wherever possible. And Mr Heartache was the track that sort of set it all off, really.
And say goodbye to Mr Heartache. I don't need you anymore. So Mr Heartache, now I'm walking out the door.
What we're going to play you now is, for me, the sort of the highlight of the Mr Heartache song, which is the mid-late section. Now, when we got the bones of the song together, and then Mick emailed me through a couple of days later. He said, I've done something on the mid-late, see what you think of this. Bearing in mind Jellyfish and all those great bands, Queen and Sweet in particular, I thought, let's do a real vocal thing, and make it really over the top. But I had no idea that Mick was going to come up with this. So what we're going to play you now is the exposed backing vocals for the mid-late of Mr Heartache, before Paul Manzi obviously came and did his singing on it, but this is featuring Andy Scott's vocals in the mix with Mick, and see what you think of this. It's pretty special.
Okay, here we go.
And just for the record, no one really likes you around here. No one likes Mr. Heartache. So long, Mr. Heartache. But now I've learned I've got to turn and walk away and say goodbye to Mr.
you go.
That man there is responsible for all of that.
Right,
And,
this, I'd like to say that this the screen looks quite organised. I'm a bit of a bugger for housework because you have to kind of do when you do so many tracks. But I will show you. Right, that's one section. I don't know if anybody can see. If you understand this recording, basically, like the old days, every line that you see is a track. So that's that's an individual vocal. So we've got that. We've got these guys here. There we go. That's it. So there we go. These are the chorus replies, and we're going. I think we're up to. And we haven't even seen Andy's stuff yet. Where's Andy's? There you go.
we lost count.
So this is the middle section. We're getting onto Mr Heartache. Boom. Come on. Bye bye. So long. Right. So that. Yeah. This thing here. Although you can't see it all. So that's all the different vocals that are on.
Modern
there.
technology, folks.
So yeah.
it
So
was
that's-
pretty big, wasn't it?
It certainly was.
And it was that definitely nailed the fact. I thought, right, if we can do that,
Yeah.
what can we do on a whole album of stuff? And so poor Mick then had a fair few months of an
Yeah.
awful lot of vocals, and I would chip in with vocals as well. And
Yeah, but it was nice because it was kind of
Great fun.
you know when you kind of do something, you know you've got no parameters. You can just keep banging stuff on and say, should we put a high one on? And the beauty of this, the way that this is, because it's all digital and stuff, you can record it, and if you don't like it, you can just take it off and do it again and hide it and not hear it. You know, so it's it was a labour of love, but it was but it was good. You know, I mean.
yeah.
The nice thing is that when, as Greg said, you know, that once he hears how it can be, then every song then you go, all right, well that's going to have that bit in. If we want a vocal bit in, so you know what it's going to sound like, you know.
we can achieve it
Yeah.
because obviously
Yeah.
Mick being the supreme singer that he
Blah.
is, and no, he is, and also obviously understanding how you actually do that, because you just can't rock up and do vocals of that caliber unless you know your timing and your inflections and your scales. You've got to know
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yeah.
And you know, God bless old Mick.
So that's
He
that.
did a very good job, and that
Yeah.
became for me the Cats in Space sound, and the band sort of was born from that point, really.
And we couldn't get the lid back on Pandora's box.
No, Pandora's box is well and truly exposed at Far End
There you go.
Studios,
There you go.
and that's how Cats in Space came about. And we shall talk more about other songs another time.